U.S. media is consolidating. Consider how one company, backed by MAGA billionaire Larry Ellison, is now on track to own Paramount, Warner Brothers, CNN, HBO, CBS, and a vast array of related media properties if its new massive $100 billion plus merger goes through. Now, as a business matter, news is just a tiny part of that balance sheet. But there are major impacts on civics and democracy when a small number of the richest people in the world can own most of the big major journalism outlets in our country. That's not how it's always been. And news, of course, has an outsized impact on campaigns and politics and who gets into power. Trump has fixated on who would own CNN in the run-up to this deal. In fact, the Netflix CEO basically said in public very recently, after their bid fell through, that once it was clear that the original deal they wanted was not going to include CNN, Trump didn't care. While the man on track to control CNN, David Ellison, who you see on your screen, has been clearly playing to MAGA's media agenda. There he was attending the State of the Union with Trump ally Lindsey Graham. The Journal reports he's promised media changes, including reshaping CNN, as he has CBS, where top journalists have left the newsroom, and 60 Minutes after Ellison installed a MAGA-friendly opinion editor with no TV news experience to run the whole TV news operation over there. Now, David Ellison has said they won't be changing CNN's independence, but he's also said that he's happy with how they're running CBS, that he views that as independent, and a lot of longtime nonpartisan journalists object to the point of quitting. The challenges here, though, are broader than just any one person or merger. The richest people in our entire world are cutting deals with Trump on everything from tech to media to business. Some of them vowed to save journalism. That was the Jeff Bezos position in the first term when he bought Washington Post's newsroom, when he said democracy dies in darkness, and he's now turned that media outlet as a way to kind of curry favor. He turned the opinion section to the right, then he slashed the nonpartisan, factual reporters on the Washington Post staff. Now, Trump admits his abuses of power. He openly demands the DOJ probe and indict anyone in his way, a list of enemies that has grown so much in the first year that it almost looks ridiculous or comical on your screen, except when you remember that he's trying to jail these people. It includes reporters and Democrats and even some of his former cabinet. He's taking the same approach to federal funding and this kind of media oversight. He admits a partisan, self-interested demand for payback. He wants friendly media coverage. He wants it to keep his side in power, even if it's a new Republican running in 28. And he wants that in exchange for approving deals the way he wants them, or for his own grift and crypto for his family. It's all blatantly out in the open. He might get in trouble for it, and others might get in trouble for it if there are independent investigations in the future. But for now, this is business, as usual, in Trump's swamp of Washington. Now, Donald Trump's first term had a lot of amateur plots that kind of faltered. He has now proven, though, more ruthlessly effective in this, his final term. As one street-smart poet famously put it, not a relief pitcher, I'm the closer. The Mariano of the Marriott. If money talks, the whole world about to hear me out. Well, money's been talking. The rich are certainly getting heard. And free speech and a free press for everyone else, well, they're clearly trailing at this point in the game, as CNN seems to be on the way to getting the CBS treatment. I want to bring in a very special expert we invited for exactly this discussion. Matt Bellany is the founding partner of Puck News. He is now known across Hollywood and Wall Street and Washington for his, many say, must-read newsletter, What I'm Hearing, and his podcast, The Town. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I tried to mention the context because the journalism part, while some of us might be interested in it, is not the business story. And yet Ted Sarandos said it's what Trump cared about, and David Ellison seems to think it will help him on his path. You are an insider. You're nonpartisan. What do you see happening here?
Well, clearly the Ellison family knows they have a connection to Trump. Larry Ellison is a longtime Trump donor. He is, I think, a friend of the president. And it's not Larry that is running this studio conglomerate day to day. It's David, his son. But David, who is less politically ideological, has really taken to understanding that they have an in here. And he's got 2 years and change to do what he wants without much federal interference. And he is absolutely taking advantage of that. He's cozying up to whoever he needs to cozy up for. You showed the Lindsey Graham photo, but there are many visits to the White House. There are many meetings. There's many, they had an interaction at a UFC match. And the thinking both in Hollywood and Washington is that the Ellisons have the upper hand here to do both this deal and potentially other deals, as long as Trump is happy with the news product that they are putting out.
Do you view it as almost for them a small balance sheet commitment with a large return on investment, that for people who don't care about how journalism works, they say, well, we just have to mollify them over here and then we get to do what we want everywhere else?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Ellisons are not the Murdochs. The Murdochs are in this because they feel an obligation to have a conservative voice throughout the media that they believe is speaking to the consumer that is not fed by any other media outlet. The Ellisons do not have that feeling. What they say this is a business decision. They are speaking to what they call the 70% of Americans that are center left and center right. They feel like the media right now is mostly center left, and they are trying to shift that. They are trying to shift CBS News, and we believe once they take over CNN, they will also try to shift CNN. Now, many others believe that what they're really trying to do is make this more of a Trump-friendly media operation. And if that's the case, Trump will allow them to do whatever they want in the other aspects of the business that actually matter to them. David got into this to make movies. He did not get into this because he wanted to control CNN. But CNN is proving to be very helpful in getting his other goals accomplished.
But your reporting is they will want to make fast, visible changes to CNN.
I believe they will, yes. And we don't know whether that's going to be a wholesale firing of people. We don't know if that's going to be putting Bari Weiss above both outlets, CNN and CBS News. She's taken over CBS News and definitely moved that organization to the right. But it will be something similar.
Here's what David Ellison says about all this. Take a listen.
CNN is an incredible brand with an incredible team, and we absolutely believe in the independence that needs to be maintained, obviously, for those incredible journalists. Editorial independence will absolutely be maintained. It's maintained at CBS. It'll be maintained at CNN.
When he says it is maintained at CBS, he's giving away the game, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't believe that he sees this as an independence issue. He's not going to be calling the control room and telling them, do this, don't do this on any particular broadcast. He's going to empower leaders that have a more center-right or right sensibility, and they are going to effectuate the changes there. That's news management. You put the person in charge who you believe will put in place what you want the vision of the organization
let me jump in,
to be.
Not that you're saying otherwise, but the problem isn't whether it's left, right, or center. The problem would be if it is going in any direction as an exchange or deal with the government.
Yes, and he's never going to say that. And all we have to go on is what his actions suggest. And his actions suggest that the changes being made at these outlets are changes that conform to what the current administration would like to see. And Trump has made comments about Bari Weiss. He's made comments about David Ellison, called him a fine young man or something like that. He has done things that suggest whatever the Ellisons are doing, whether expressly or as a coincidence, the president likes what they are doing. And because of that, the president has taken his foot off of any pressure that might be put on a deal that, don't forget, is $111 billion.